Trackadia ist das größte Gaminghaus Europas und soll eine Heimat, ein Campus sein für alle Gamer. Ob in Deutschland, aus Europa oder weltweit. In der Arcadia gibt es alles, was das Gamerherz begehrt. Hotel, Hostel, Events finden hier ständig statt. Turnierserien, Bootcamp-Räume für Amateure, für Profis. Wir haben ein Profiteam hier mit den Unicorns of Love. Jeden Tag, jedes Wochenende passiert hier etwas. Dann haben wir aber auch Business-Produkte, Business-Pakete. Da versuchen wir der Businesswelt die Community vorzustellen und sie näher zu bringen. Wir haben digitale Innovationen hier, neueste Technologien, die wir hier vorstellen und in Anwendung bringen. Und natürlich immer eine gute Party, einen anstrengenden Spieltag auch ein bisschen Spaß zu haben. Unser Motto ist Pixel by Pixel, Stück für Stück dieses Gebäude zu transformieren und zu einem Gaminghaus zu entwickeln. Und zu Silvester diesen Jahres wollen wir das erste Mal die Arcadia so präsentieren, wie wir sie uns vorstellen.
All right, and we are coming to you live from Arcadia Hotel, located in Hamburg, Germany, here for the event Trackadia, and I am excited, and I hope you're excited too. We have a lot of action-packed events this weekend, mainly with the mixed tournament. There's also a tech tournament on the side, but we are going to be focusing on the mixed tournament. We have a lot of big names and a lot of excitement happening for this tournament. So we are having a $2.5 thousand prize pool that is split up between the two tourneys, and there are going to be players that are looking to grasp and get that money for themselves this weekend. We have over 110 players registered, representing over 16 countries, one of the most impressive numbers we've seen so far, and we expect to see more in the future. Let's not forget our sponsors, though. First, Vibroacoustic. They have been a wonderful sponsor and able to support this prize pool and help us. We also have Evo, who has provided the servers and have been able to provide tournament operators to help us work this out. Not to forget, we also have 28 Black, the sponsor energy drink for Arcadia. And then last but not least, we have Arcadia Hotel and OPL, this tournament service as well. But we have Arcadia Hotel, as they are the primary sponsor, the largest gaming house in Europe, and there's many exciting things like the Octo Racer, which is the live simulation driving, and VR tower tag. It's pretty great. It's a fun experience, and we cannot wait for you to see more to come. Now, what do we have going on here? We have a format. We have 2 qualification waves that we are going to be playing today here on Friday. Tomorrow is going to be the start of the double elimination bracket with, I believe, what starts as a top 64. You can correct, the casters will correct me when I hand over it to them. But I'm excited. I hope you are too. And just to give a brief introduction of our casting team that are going to be helping us out today, I have Kai, Turbo, Ludwig. I have Ryan, Boney, Gout, and then I have Thomas, G-Geek, Mongozi. I'm sorry, I'm terrible. I'm American. It's my fault. But it's okay. We are going to be here, and I'm going to be with you. And I am Aaron Import Brooks, and I will be your host for today and throughout the remaining event of this weekend. With that being said, we are getting into our first matches for the qualification phase, and we have our casters who are going to be Boney and G-Geek casting and covering the first 2 sections of the tournament today. And then we will have me and Turbo afterwards. So keep around, stay around. It's going to be really exciting. I hope you enjoy. And we're going to head over to our casters, and we'll see you again soon.
All right, thank you very much, Import, and welcome everybody to Trackadia's. That's it. We are finally on site, Boney, and I'm very excited. I'm Thomas Mengozi, aka G-Geek, and with me, Ryan Boney Galt. I hope you're excited because, yeah, this is going to be something.
Oh, definitely, indeed. I have been looking forward to this for months. I hope you all have been as well, because this is going to be an exciting tournament. I love weekend tournaments myself, and it's starting off on the Friday. Right? We've got these qualifiers happening, and it's all going to lead in just a couple of days, crowning our champion of the first Trackadia here at Arcadia.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a tournament that has attracted many big heads of the Trackmania scene, and you're going to be seeing it throughout the qualifiers first off, and it is going to be very much a show of force for some of the stronger players. We've had a lot of international players that have come in from different countries. We've been told 15 to 16 countries entered and represented in the Trackadia tournament with a good French contingent. I'm going to say I'm going to be the one I'm kind of root for personally, but of course, I'm going to, of course, be trying to be as impartial as I can be. Of course, I tend to say that often, but we're just going to have a good time out here. But yeah, we're going to be getting started with the qualifiers in a little bit. We're getting towards the end of the warm-up, and we're basically going to be having a rounds mode qualification. Basically, we're going to be playing a series of rounds on all the maps. So we have 5 maps that we're going to be playing, and 4 rounds will be played on each map. Players will get points at the end of each round depending on their finishing position to add to their total score. And at the end of that first round of qualification, up to 12 players will be eliminated, and we'll already be out of the running for Trackadia. So you have to be on top form already right from the get-go as we're about to get started.
We are about to get started, indeed. So for now, at max 40 players will be in the match. We'll see exactly how many players will be in the match itself. But yeah, first 28, then 16. At the end of the day, we will have whittled down that maximum of 160 players. From what I know, we have at least 110, 120 players on site right now. And we will end up with 64 players to duke it out tomorrow. Yeah,
64 players, and I wager that the top 64 is going to be pretty stacked, all things considered. As I said, we are about to get started on the match itself. The warm-up is slowly but surely coming to a conclusion. 30 seconds left to go in said warm-up, and I guess we can go in game already and take a look at the players that we're going to be actually going to be taking a look at. But before that, here's a little look at the map that we're going to be driving on. First off, it will be Banners by Berserk and Rioter. And it's very important on a good portion of that.
Definitely, I mean, especially when it comes to that risky fin at the end, it is all but important to get 5th before you get into it. Before all that, definitely 4-4-4, and then 5th at the end to make sure you get that jump. Because if you shift down, you're going to end up in a pretty bad spot and bumping to the bottom of that block. And it's going to cost you some points, especially during qualifiers.
Already getting started from Homie Notsun at the moment, and yeah, so far so good. He's towards the top of the group with Binks a little bit further ahead of him, with Lumar and Stufts in 2nd and 4th position. So far so good. And here the line is a bit tricky with that little CP line. You have to go through the triangle and get a little bit of a booster to get enough speed, and that's going to be a bit unfortunate for Yabzo. He's forced to respawn. Doesn't even have enough speed because of the way he clipped the wheels at the top of the bobsleigh block there. So he's going to be sent down quite far down the order, as we're back up the order with Schlumpy from Team Wisp heading towards the final part of the round. And here we go towards the final part. 27. Yeah, he has actually lost it. He's forced to go for the safe way. You can actually see the car drastically slow down. That's where he actually had the downshift to 4th.
Yeah, exactly. It's very risky because you're going down off that grass onto the normal block, and I personally also tend to lose quite some speed there. It's very easy to angle your car a bit too much because you have to be careful about the wall coming in. A little bit of a chicane happening just to make sure you can get onto the plastic with full speed in 5th gear. And it's some players might not get it. And I think if you're not feeling too good about it, it's a good bet, especially in qualifiers, to just go for that safe fin. Secure some points, because that is what it's all about at the moment. Make sure you get as many points as possible. Taking a quick look from Lumar's perspective, one of the other Dutch players in the match at the moment, driving pretty well in 3rd place.
Yeah, so far so good for Lumar, having a pretty good run. We had someone having a pretty bad stop moment at the bobsleigh there, but Lumar so far it's going pretty good. Although he's got Trilix jumping up the bit there. He's also got Dan from Numalops right there behind them, and so far Lumar is able to hold off. He's able to catch up with his teammate Javzo. Here comes the chicane that we talked about here, and he has a little bit less speed, Lumar, but he's going to be able to make the risky fit like Trilix, and that's going to be it with Lumar taking P4. Astronaut scoring a 51.4, which is definitely not a bad time, all things considered. Deska and Lars 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, and that's a nice 25 points, especially after, I mean, Yapso as well, getting 5th with 16 with an early mistake. And you can see the rankings already shaking up a little bit. Astronaut shooting into 4th place with that. But Deska, yeah, 42 points. It's not about getting 1st place necessarily. Obviously, those are the most points, getting 25 if possible to get into 1st place. But even below that, the point distribution, it's not that big. You know, you go to 22, you go to 19, you go to 16, and then from that point on, it goes down by 1-1-1. So it's very important to shoot for that top 8 and make sure you drive the best times that you can to make sure you get as many points as possible.
Ooh, looks on. Ouch. That's a bit of a fortunate line, and with that respawn, he has to get a little bit of a different line approaching at the checkpoint, and then it gets from bad to worse for the player from Team Shift, having to respawn the bobsleigh part. So I think that's going to be putting himself out of the running. Let's try to go a little bit further up the road with Astronaut battling with Dan and Rumar, but he had a bad entry to the chicane. He's going to be forced to go.
Well,
Okay. Interesting strat. I haven't seen that being pulled off in match before, but yeah, very interesting. And Binks, in the meantime, scoring a 51.0. This is actually very, very good from Binks right there to score such a low time. So considering that the world record is dipping underneath that 51-second mark.
I mean, I would be surprised if we see sub 51. I mean, if you're driving that at qualifiers right now where you know you don't need to necessarily risk as much, I mean, that's impressive because that just means you are comfortable driving at that pace. You're comfortable at driving with those, like risking and using all the space that you could to make sure you get below 51, but I think 51s are going to do just fine in qualifiers right now. Just taking a quick look from, if I can find my mouse, Jake Gray right there. Very curious where he is. Oh, what is it with me and spectating someone who's about to crash? Okay, let's try someone else. Let's make Lars crash. Yeah. All right. We're gonna see Lars. That would be something. No, Lars right now doing great in 3rd place overall, but in terms of the race itself, driving in 9th. Let's see on the downhill, he's able to keep the gear right now. He is in 4th, shoots up to 5th. Should be good for the risky. Finn does go for it. 10 points, 8th place. With a 52.5, I think that's just fine right now.
That's just fine. And Binks continuing to improve. He improved by another 100th of a second in that particular round. That is actually very astonishing what Binks is producing. He's producing definitely a statement of intent. Even like when you actually put in such a banger time within like a few hundreds of WR on just the qualifiers alone, that says something about how confident you are entering into this tournament.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I mean, especially with these weekend tournaments, you know, you got to keep in mind, you're not just playing today. You're playing today, you're playing tomorrow, you're playing the day after. There's a lot of matches going on, and if you do end up losing a match in winner's bracket, you end up losers, which means more matches, which means more play, which means more endurance needed to keep the momentum going. And I mean, some players, I'm sure, will be totally fine with the focus at a LAN, but I can imagine plenty of players are new to this environment, not used to playing in a setting that isn't their home, their own setup, their own screen, their own lighting setup, you name it, and gonna have to adjust to that, besides having to perform. So I'm very curious to see for any of those players coming in new who aren't used to that environment, to see how they do and perhaps see some upsets. That's usually what I find is the most exciting when it comes to these weekend tournaments, is a player coming out of nowhere who just signed up, thought he would just have a good time, and ends up in a higher position than anybody ever would have imagined.
Yeah, with a deeper tournament than he would even have expected. That's definitely the kind of exciting stuff that we like to see. As we're already getting ready to start our next map, which is going to be Interdiction by Ose92. This is a bit more of a homogenized mixed map. There's not really any particularly tricky parts to highlight. It's just that it requires a lot of you as a Trackmania driver and as a Trackmania mixed driver to really get a good time out there. It really requires a lot of skills to be able to pull off some good times on there.
Yeah, and right, 102, 102. This is our one of our longest tracks alongside with Oxygen. Usually these tracks are around under a minute. This one just goes barely over. And definitely, for me personally, one of the trickier ones by keeping the lines through these dirt and grass turns. Right now, Dan doing a great job as we follow his POV in the middle of the pack. Binks is in the lead. The Upso Astronaut 2nd and 3rd place. And at the moment, they're all doing a fantastic job, making sure that they keep their 4th gear over the plastic, going over the dirt lines. Look at that, look at how they use that space. And so far, Dan is keeping up. He's not quite at the pace to really catch up, but definitely in a good position to get 10 points in the pocket if he manages to stay in. Well, he's in 7, so that's 12 points actually.
So far, yeah, he's actually sitting in a pretty good. He's in a pretty good position right now, Dan, as we're heading towards the final part of the map. The group up ahead is really nicely packed up, though. Look at this. Binks trying to make a run for freedom up front. Oh, did we have a respawn there? Or did I imagine? Oh, this guy's actually slowing down on the downhill. It's not exactly a crash. It was just a tiny bit of a wall brush whilst he was trying to hug the outside wall. And that was enough to actually get what we call the acceleration penalty in Trackmania. Just a little grazing of the wall is enough to rob you of 30 kilometers per hour speed and rob you of a few tenths of a second of your time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially at the end, like usually you can afford like a little acceleration penalty or whatnot at the start. There's still a lot of time and space to catch up to make up for that mistake. But at the end, with that final dirt turn as well, it's very important to use the outside and be sure not to touch the wall, because otherwise you're going to have a bit of an awkward jump into the finish. You already see, obviously, players overtaking you. But there is still some way to recover. It's just, you know, one of those situations where you'd rather would not have that happen to you. We'll take a quick look. Astronaut, in this case, also in the middle of the pack, but a bit more further ahead at the moment in 4th place. You can see doing a fantastic job. Oh, getting the gear, and I keep saying things, and I keep making people crash.
Yeah, that was the evidence of like the slowdowns really hampering your run, because he was actually making it with the speed that he had before the wall touch. He would have made it. Unfortunately, Lol does not get the drift there. Getting the drift there is really important, because it actually allows you. The drift in Trackmania is definitely not like a drift in real life. It's more of like you're your car being on a pivot, on the central pivot in the center of your car, and then actually shifting in the direction you want to whenever you're actually trying to put a drift in. And that actually allows you to put your car in a better angle so that when you release the brakes, you have a much straighter path through the corner, which enables you to carry so much more speed. In the meantime, Lumar clocking in at 103.212. He has the top time in the server with the 103.134, and a low 103 is still a pretty decent time, all things considered.
Definitely. Right now, you can see in first place as well, 110 points over the, 6 rounds so far. It's definitely a good score, right? Imagining max is 150. I'd be extremely happy with 110 and feel pretty good. We're playing 5 maps, 4 rounds each, and I think 110 is a good start. Taking a look at Trucks, who unfortunately had a bit of an unfortunate line during the previous round at the end of the dirt. Right now, lagging a little bit behind on the pack, but still keeping pace. Picks up a little bit of the grass. Somebody crashed. I didn't quite see who it was that crashed there.
That was Eric, who unfortunately went a bit too wide. It hit full stopping into the pole, and we had a few people taking the apex. The apex of the dirts, it's a little bit off camber, so if you take that, your car's going to get yeeted off onto the other side of the track, so you have to be very, very careful there. And Trillix, through the trials and tribulations of others, such as Jake, who had to slow down before the checkpoint, is slowly but surely making his way back up. So that's very much the spirit of rounds. No matter the time you have, it's important to finish those rounds and get these points in. I'd rather have a low place finish than not finishing at all and missing out on valuable points that can make the difference between making it to the next round or getting eliminated. So far, Trillix currently sitting in P12, and that will remain that way up until the finish line. Binks clocking in 103.114.
Oh.
Yeah, the Frenchman is absolutely on it today.
Beautiful time.
Beautiful time. Astronaut and Deska complete the top 3. Lumar in P4. Javzo, Schofts, Dan, and Oxon complete the top 8.
Very, very curious to see. We have one more round remaining on interdiction. Very curious to see how Binks will do. It's hopefully not going to curse him this time around, but I mean, if you're driving times like this, I for one am very, very curious to see what kind of lines he is going to show off right here. Right now you can see him at the front of the pack, though Lumar is starting to get in the way as well, looking like a 1v1 at the moment between the two players, fighting for those 25 points. Ooh, Binks with a little bit of a slowdown starts to fall back in, and Deska taking the lead over. But you can see that fight really going hard, all of these players maintaining their gear perfectly and seeing how they go up the uphill, getting into third, 160, 170 even from Binks. That should give him some space to catch up to Deska. You can see him slowly but surely catching up throughout that drift there. Oh, look at that pace.
Yeah, with especially like the smooth landing on the downhill slope in the dirt, that's what made him catch up to Deska so much. Though Deska so far is holding his own. The Polish player for Team Evo, a bit of a wide line for Binks, trying to carry a bit more speed on the way out. Seems to be paying off before the jump into the final dirt part. The entry can be a little bit tricky, and then the outside line, and Binks will be able to take that round win. What's the time going to be? It's a 0.0. I think we picked the right time to spectate Binks.
Definitely, definitely. It was a beautiful run. I mean, imagine what it would be like if you didn't have that slight little hiccup during the 15-second mark of the map.
Exactly, yeah. Absolutely astonishing time by Binks, close to dipping into the 102 waters and continuing, and this time actually retaking the lead of the standings, 150 points versus 148. I know this is very much all for glory rather than really important to get first place at the end of the qualifier rounds, but still, it's a pretty astounding achievement after 2 maps in.
2 maps in, indeed. I mean, if you're triple digits after 2 maps, you should be feeling good. Right now, we have 6 players in total who are enjoying that situation, one of them being Binks. We have Astronaut, and if I can get it on screen, I can get some more names. Come on, there you go. Lumar, Deska, Stufts, and Lars. So, you know, I'm happy seeing Dutch players up there. So I believe in you. You can get 2 more points. But yeah, other than that, we do see right now in the server, just to take a quick look, right, we've got 23 players happening right here. Sorry, 21, I should say. And right now, 4 players at the bottom. You know, hopefully Urk will be able to pick up some more points of his own. But other than that, we do see at the front, right, 153 to 12th at 48. You can see, though, how much of an impact those first places have. You can still get points when you do hit those top 8s, top 12s. And this is where you really start to notice the difference. I do like the line from Binks right there. That outside line on the dirt on Oxygen right here, right between the
pillars,
the pillars and the wall. so tricky. I wouldn't even dare doing that during rounds, but
extremely risky. Yeah, don't try this at home, kids. These are professional drivers attending this particular line on Oxygen. Map from Keystone, mapper from Waypoint Mapping, who's mapped for numerous competitions over the years, and the one that has been featured in Cup of the Day as a little bit of a taste of what was to come from Trackadia. That was back at the end of August, if I recall correctly. As we're already getting underway with the first of 4 rounds, we're getting back to Yavzo, one of the few Team Hominotsung players that are currently entering this competition, along with Feed, which we'll hopefully get to see a little bit later on in the day or maybe in the weekend. And so far for Javzo, he's finding himself mid-pack, trying to find his footing again around the track, even though he's had the track in the fingers a little bit. You can see people falling by the wayside, left, right, and center. He's the only one to go for that risky line, but unfortunately he did not quite execute it that well. He barely brushed the right front or the left front wall against the pillar, and that's enough to slow him down quite significantly, and he's forced to battle with Sloopy now for P14 at the moment. And then up ahead, Binks very much trusting the top of the leaderboard. Deska just behind him, Dan in P3, Astronaut in P4. It's looking pretty racy up front, and Javzo really can't seem to make any headway through the field as we're already heading toward the final corner. Oh, Jay Gray forced to respawn because of that little bump right there, and that's going to be Binks winning the round and taking a time of 102.338. That's a really, really good time there from Binks. I just want to try and recheck the best time that we've had for reference. The best time that we had is a 102.1 from Dexter, who is the world record holder, and that to come in from within 2/10 of world record is really, really astounding.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it's I always find it very impressive because usually players will be very, very good when they are playing at home, at comfort. They can reset over and over and over and over and try and get a good time. But to do that consistently at a live event, that's where it matters. That's where you can get those points, and it's beautiful to see these times being driven right now. Taking a look from Lumar's POV, who at the moment is in the front of the pack, and maybe will go for the inside line. I expect, yes, he will be able to keep up with the pack. In fact, a great third line, shooting himself into third place, fighting for Deska at the moment, trying to keep him away from that. We'll see if he is able to maintain that momentum towards these final few turns, especially this turn right here. It's very important to keep that speed. You can keep a lot of speed throughout that grass section, about 260, 270 even, if you get it right. But right now these players are settling for 250, and you can see it's doing just fine at the top. Lumar with a bit of a slowdown because of the drift.
Yeah, he had to back off. He had to back off of that, otherwise he was going to go too wide and hit the wall. Oxon with a bit of a wonky line through the jump, but that's good. Ooh, 0.4. I was a little bit excited for no reason, but still, 0.4.
0.4 is still good.
It's still good. I thought we were dipping in like the really low 102s, but that's why I got. Ooh, but no, it was not to be. I mean, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself there sometimes. But yeah, Astronaut, Deska, Dan also getting some good points for himself. Currently P7, the man from Team Ox Grand Poitiers Numalops. As we're currently following along again with Deska, who's having a pretty astounding start, pretty stout start, to be fair, up until the first dirt transition block anyway, as he finds himself within the top 5. Javzo having taken the lead, Binks in second place as we head down and then back up, taking a little bit of penalty plastic on the way in. Is there such a thing as penalty plastic? I don't think so. Now, let's see, for the wide line, Javzo again taking the wide line, whilst Deska and Binks try to go for more of a middle line underneath the poles on the dirt, and that's paid off more for them than for Javzo, who is sunk back in the pack, who is a bit of an issue trying to execute that line correctly. Meanwhile, Lumar is coming back within the clutches of Deska's car at the moment. Lumar sitting in P3, 2/10 down on the leader, but you can barely see his ghost creep in from the bottom of the screen and trying to take the challenge to Deska. And he's actually got a bit more speed this time. It could be all the way to the finish unless Deska has got much better dirt section. Binks getting reeled in by the top 2-3. It should be good. Positions will stay like this. 0.404, time not found from Binks. Deska second, Lumar third, Stoops fourth, Dan, Astronaut, Lars, and Jake Ray complete the top 8.
The top 8. What a great round from the 3 players. I mean, able to maintain that pace throughout the entire section. I mean, it will be exciting, obviously, to see exchanging between first and second, exchanging between second and third, but they are consistently driving this pace side by side, and none of them are giving away an inch because, they're just playing the best that they can, which I find very, very exciting to see personally. Very curious to see how some of the other players will be. Let's take a look at Law. I know we have Law earlier on, but unfortunately I caused him You know, I'm sorry. I'm not even going to Chaos Hand. We'll go to Chaos Hand. Why not Chaos Hand? Look at that. Chaos Hand we haven't seen just yet. Hopefully he won't crash because I switched to him. But I'm very curious to see Chaos Hand. Not familiar with the player myself. I do know there are some of the German players who have entered, have seen the tournament, and have been you know, interested in join. So it's always great to see new talent coming in. Right now, Chaos Hand is doing a great job driving an egg place, keeping up with the rest of the players. Bit of a drift right there. 240 speed going into the dirt section. Not the speed you're looking for, but regardless, it's able to keep up with the rest. We'll see how his ending will be. Very close to releasing, had to release a little bit. All are nice, able to overtake. Yupso also very close to Chaos Hand. We'll see how the jump ends up, and Chaos Hand actually overtakes both of them. Secures himself a 7th place with a 103.9.
Solid round. I exclaimed to myself a little bit. Also, we had a 102.260 from Binks. That's a nice time. But to come back to Chaos Hand, we saw from his perspective, Javzo through the chicane before like the penultimate dirt part. He had a bit of a wiggly moment. He had a bit of a tighter line that he should have had. And so he was forced to release a little bit in the chicane to avoid taking the full wall on the inside. And then the bank corner before the final corner, that's more of a repeat case of what happened to Lumar, where he was trying to go towards the apex a little bit too early on the banking, and he was finding himself with this really wide line going up the bank, and he was forced to release a little bit the throttle just to have a tighter turning circle, just to avoid getting into the wall.
Let's see our next map right here, Switcheroo, map number 4. As we are 3 maps in, Bink still in the lead with a bigger lead at this point, 253 points, definitely getting away from the rest of the pack. Deska on 211, Loomer on 206. Those are the only 3 players right now who are in the 200 range, so they must be pretty happy with where they are right now and feeling pretty secure about getting into that next qualifier match. Other players might be worried about a little bit. Just to take a quick look, Baz, Crazy, Urkrite, these are some players that might be wanting some more points.
Yeah, Crazy not having a good time. Crazy, a very good full speed player, formerly, of course, from Team Aux, Poitiers, Numelops, and yeah, not necessarily having a good time here in this qualifier. Only 9 points collected for himself. I'm imagining a few unrespawnable crashes or some things that might have prevented him from scoring more points than that. Let's hope that he gets a little bit of a better run here on Switcheroo by Funny. A map that is actually pretty, as a casual, was pretty pleasant to run. And we're back to a bit more of a fast pace. We were on the very long mass heading to the 102s, 103s. Here we're heading towards sub 60 seconds, more like closely to high 56 to low 57s is but the range of times that we're expecting. You can see Lumar a little bit further ahead as Crazy. Unfortunately, we kind of jinxed him a little bit too much whilst we were talking about him. Yeah, I'm not even going to take any blame for that. That's entirely on you. Yeah, when we're talking about Lumar, 56.854, that was a time that he actually ran during the warm-up, which is really, really good as we're currently following along with Olo Nice. A little bit separated from the pack up front, but with the trials and tribulations of others, he's currently trying to get himself back up the running order past Firebreaker for P14, though you can see the gap is pretty huge compared to the top 13 at the moment. Oh, went too wide and clipped to add insult to injury. That's a shame for Oler Nice as we're getting back up the order with Mati battling with Chaos San, who went to the bit.
Oh, Oler, where are you going?
Oh no, okay, we got debated. That's basically just the reactive part with the plastic. Okay, we were both having the same thing. I thought, like, what the hell just happened? But yeah, so far so good. And who's going to be taking the first round win? It's going to be Binks, of course, and drives within 4,000ths of the top local record from Lumar with a .858.
0.858. I mean, you know, we're still 2/10 away from world record, but with times like those, it's he's looking extremely prepared.
Still 2/10 away.
Yeah. I'm like 2 seconds away. All right, if I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
That's great for me. 2 seconds. Let's go.
1.5 seconds. Yeah, that's a great day, everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take a look from one of, let's try Simon. We haven't seen Simon just yet. Very curious to see where he's at right now. Playing from the back in 16th place. Still keeping up with the pack at the moment. And I'm very curious to see how he'll do right now. He does need some points, 16th overall as well. But able to keep up with the rest. You can see really throughout this, there are some slight differences in terms of lines being taken that allow just a player like Binks, for example, to just get ahead because he just knows these blocks as well as any player could. Simon at the moment does a great job right now, just keeping up, making sure he follows all the lines. He knows the lines clearly as he overtakes Schlumpy right there, who made a bit of a mistake, shooting into 13th place. All are nice in front of him this time, not shooting off like a rocket. And we'll see if Simon is able to overtake. Bit of a hard drift, not sure.
Ooh.
Keeps up. There you go. Trellix taking advantage of that. That's what I was worried about right there. But
Yeah.
still 14th.
Still 14th. He had a bit of a slow exit before the final run while setting himself up for the full speed finish that we have. And that allowed Trillix to take advantage of that situation and snatch a few points more for himself. And yeah, Lumar taking the round win with the .344, then Binks just behind him with a .365. So still pretty close racing between these two. And we've arrived at the 300-point mark for Binks in the space of like round two of map.
2 rounds, yeah.
Yeah, 2 rounds of map number 4, which is really, really good progress being made by the Frenchman as we're following along with Dan, repping, of course, the colors of Aux Compoitiers Unilops, the winner of the Gamers Assembly Full Speed Tournament this year. Absolutely absolutely astonishing player and very, very skilled full-speed player in his own right. And yeah, deserves all the achievements that he's ever made in this particular field. So far in the round, currently battling for P8, P7 with Jake Gray. Astronaut a little bit further up ahead in P6. He's got a little bit more speed exiting the grass part onto the reactor boost, and he's able to carry that speed all the way through the reactor boost to get back within the clutches of Astronaut. And then you can see the top 5 up ahead. It's Stufts, Deska, Lumor, Binks, and Jabzo. If I read all of the tags correctly, up ahead of the cars. We're heading to the final corner and the setup for the full speed finish. It looks as though the positions will stay that way. Yeah, we'll Stufts, yeah, P3. Binks will win with a 56.991. Pretty good time from Binks. Deska 2, Stufts 3, Yavzo 4, Lumar 5th, Astronaut Dan, and Chaosan complete the top 8. Good run from Chaosan.
Good run for Chaos indeed, getting that 8th place, getting himself some nice 10 points, shooting up a little bit more. I think, yeah, still 2 points away from Roxon, but regardless, 114 points, great stuff. At the moment though, Binks on a perfect streak on this track, hasn't lost a single round just yet. Let's see if he's able to ace it with the one.
May I correct you? He lost the second round.
He did.
He did lose to Lumar by just a few hundredths of a second.
Apologies. He was so close. Who knows? Maybe next round, right? Maybe next map. There's still 1 map remaining, and we'll see if he's able to hold on to his first place right now. We'll spectate Lumar right now. Let's see if he's able to deny Binks another first place finish, though. You see the gap right here starting to grow more and more, 0.2 of a second between the two players, as they are both doing a fantastic job throughout that grass section. That is definitely one of those sections. We already saw it happen. It's very easy to go too wide and crash out. But these players doing a fantastic job. Lumar slowing down quite a bit, allowing the rest of the pack to overtake Stufts, Deska, Astronaut, all taking advantage of that mistake and shooting forward. Binks all alone at the front. Let's see at the time. He is about to clock in a 56.711. You know, I said, like, oh yeah, just about 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, like still 0.2 of a second away.
How about 700s?
Yeah. Sorry for that. That is just an uncontained release of emotion right there. But wow, Binks. All right.
It's
I think you can calm down now. We get it.
He's just putting a stamp on the match. You know,
yeah.
This is mine. What are you guys doing here? You know, just get out, nerds. Just
He's like, send it. That's it.
Yeah.
And we're already onto the final map of our rotation, and probably one of the more interesting ones and one of the trickier ones at the start, at the very least, Ytelski by Agent Whiskey and Ski Freak.
Yeah, Ytelski is one of those, like, it's the start and the finish are the 2 points where I personally have had quite some issues. You've got the start where you've got to jump from the sausage block onto that ramp, and you had to jump very early on, otherwise you're not going to make the jump. It's also quite easy to clip the ramp there as well, so we can expect some mistakes happening there. Throughout this track in general, we have some tight drifts, such as this one right now. Lumar doing a fantastic job showing off this drift, staying very close to the corner right there. You do not want to go wide, because otherwise you will crash into the left-hand wall. And then this risky fin where Lumar does amazing job showing it off cleanly. Whenever I do it, I crash into the finish, I crash past the finish. It's like anywhere but the finish.
It's a very tricky thing to be able to ramp off of the side of the bobsleigh wall while keeping the car completely flat as you do so. Most of the time, you just put in a little bit too much steering angle or too much speed, and you just end up flipping over and full stepping into the finish, and that's over. Oh, we have chaos at the start already at the jump transition.
I told you.
Already out.
It's so easy. I mean, Lumar made a bit of a mistake early on, allowed him to slow down and get away from the pack, but it is so easy to crash into the wall right there and barely not make that jump. This dirt section as well, these players full speeding throughout it, but you can see they're really using the speed at the entry, using the left side ramp to just angle up their car to make sure they can get through that corner and keep their momentum. Right now, Binks, though, way ahead. Stuffs and Yufso in hot pursuit, trying to catch up to the French player, but he is just running away with it.
I'm curious to see what the time will be like at the end of the track. Goes to the finish. 0.1! Now, to give you a context, a low 51 like this is a very good time. The world record dips into the 48-second range, and we're just a tenth and a half away from that particular range.
Oh, so close. I mean, this is just round 1. Imagine round 2,
yeah.
round 3, round 4.
Round 4!
Oh.
We'll be on world record at this rate.
I'm looking for the world record. I mean, Binks is just gonna crush the world record. I'm calling it right now. He's gonna do, he's gonna do it exactly this round. I'm gonna spectate him right here. And guys, enjoy this world record run. Don't mind the fact that Yufso and Slumpy are in front of him right now. Binks is he's just shooting forward. I told you.
Yeah, he's got a continuous acceleration. Nobody can do anything about it, not even himself. He's just pressing on forward. That's the only direction he knows, only forward. And so far, so good for Binks. He's really placing the car so well through these sequences of corners here on Yitelski as we're heading through to the second half of the map. Well, close more like to Sector 3, like the final third of the map pretty much, as we're heading already towards the plastic part, and then afterwards the finish with the ice. Let's see what the time will be on this one. I'm guessing a low 41, what we saw. I don't think we're going to see a 48 here. What is it going to be? Yeah, 0.191. Yeah. So yeah, we were kind of guessing, we're in the kind of same kind of ballpark that we were in the previous round, but Deska with the question mark, and rightfully so, he's like, how? I'm playing my best. 6/10? What just happened?
Yeah, you can see top 5, right? 1, and then 7, 7, 8, 9. What? Where did he go? Like, did he just get boost? Does he have NOS in his car? What? No, it's just clean lines, clean play, and I think Yitelski is a very good example of a track where clean drifts really make for amazing times along with that third turn. I think that third turn as well is a very, very substantial part of getting great times on this track right now. We're looking at Jay Gray challenging that very same third turn, doing a great job. Not going as wide as he could have, perhaps slowing down a little bit, but still in the middle of the pack, going quite wide, close to the wall. Manages to recover barely, but does he get the checkpoint? Oh! Wait, okay, he didn't hit it. He didn't hit it. He's still going.
No, I think I think he barely touched, but he got away with it somehow.
Wow, that is very, very close. Well, just to finish, I mean, with all that luck, he's bound to hit the finish properly, right? There you go.
There you go. And in the meantime, up front, we weren't really focusing on that, but 49.3, so the pace has cooled down a little bit, but still, like, Jay Cray from Team Wombo, that was a bit of a close call, not just once, but twice on that round. I guess he just likes to live on the edge.
Yeah. No, well, literally even. You can.
Yeah, literally on the edge for that matter. Yeah. As we're already on the final round on Yitelski, so soon the end of our first game of the first wave of qualifiers here on the Trackadia tournament. We're currently following along with Astronauts in the start of this round, currently finding himself in the top 5, top 6 group. Chaos Hand battling with Lumor and Lars at the head of the field, and kind of think I'm wondering, I was wondering, where did Binks go?
Yeah.
But yeah, there he is. He's actually more hanging out towards Maypack and like, okay, I did my statement of intent a little bit earlier on. I already got enough points, so I can just play it a little bit cooler, a little bit chiller, and just kick back and secure more points on the way out. But of course, currently sitting in second place now, trying to challenge Lumar for the lead as we head into the final few corners of the round. Lumar currently holding the lead, but just for a few hundredths of a second, half a tenth, as a matter of fact. And we're heading into the plastic part, mixed with a bit of a wider line through there to get a bit more speed into the finish. The snipe, nope, not quite. 0.292, but still, like, just a 400th margin is definitely not much in Trackmania.
No, definitely not. Very, very great round to finish this first qualifier off. It is Binks winning that one quite decisively indeed with 447 points. Number 2, 335. I mean, I think that says a lot about how well Binks performed in this qualifier, and he's looking more than ready for tomorrow. I mean, the way he's driving, I mean, he's qualifying, right?
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's questioning that.
Nobody should question the pace of Binks at this point. He's definitely going to be making it the top 64. That's actually our proper guess. But yeah, we've seen plenty of rounds from other players that were pretty good, such as Astronaut, who's doing pretty good for himself, as well as Lumar, who has done a pretty solid round as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally very happy seeing the Dutch delegation coming in and doing a fantastic job opening up on the qualifiers, they themselves as well, getting a lot of points in, challenging. I mean, I found it very interesting to see Lumar just coming in and challenging Binks for that first place so often and really showing like, yeah, I know you're fast, but I can beat you. And I think that in and of itself is always good to having yourself as a player, not worrying about, oh, am I fast enough or not? You know, do I need to worry? Should I go for this risky line because I might not make it?
Having that little bit of freedom of mind / peace of mind is definitely doing wonders whenever you're finding yourself in that, oh, okay, I can actually fight up with those guys in the round. So, yeah, it definitely kind of unlocks a little bit more brain power to focus on the track and focus on the job that you're doing on set track. Well, that's going to be completing our first run of qualifier here, but it's definitely not the end of the day. I think on Import side, we do have an interview lined up. So, Import, if you're ready, the show's yours.
28 Black, der Energy Drink. Stylisch, fruchtig, vegan.
All right, and thank you so much, G-Geek and Boney. And honestly, what a fantastic way to start off this tournament. And honestly, Binks giving us a master class on how to do it and how to get out there. Deska and Lumar also performing really well as well. Deska, personally for me, event manager here for this event. And Tim, if you wouldn't mind, give us your gamer tag and everything and tell us a little about yourself and what you do here.
Sure. First of all, happy to be here on stream as well. I've been behind the scenes for the last 4 months or so. I'm Tim. I'm Wemser for most of you guys who've visited the Discord of Arcadia most likely, and I'm an event manager here at the Arcadia. I've been planning, I've been contacting basically everyone in the scene in order to create all of this beautiful tournament, and I'm so excited to finally see it all happen live.
Yeah, and they've been having you run around like a chicken with your head cut off all day up to this point. So luckily, this really is a relaxing point for you. I feel like
I don't know what you mean.
Just being able to talk about yourself and
no
your job.
issues at all. It was beautiful. Nah. Yeah. I mean, the first iteration, you can always expect like some small minor inconveniences, and I think we still were able to fix everything well. Especially with the talk with all the amazing people that are able to help me, both in production, downstairs right now working, the Evo guys down on the servers, thanks again for coming over, and of course you guys as casters, hosts, in order to help me just lift this whole weight of organizing this tournament.
Well, props has to be given to you because it is not easy. And like for us from the Trackmania community, this is a fantastic opportunity to make Trackmania even more international. And reach a wider audience. And what I would like you to kind of maybe answer for us is, how do you feel, what do you feel Arcadia brings to the table? How could you describe Arcadia as an opportunity for not just maybe Trackmania, but for other groups as well and communities that could come to your space?
Yeah, I mean, we are Europe's biggest gaming house. We have a huge hotel, a big event space. We have a lot of dedicated staff that are really interested in all sorts of games. So I think the biggest thing we can bring to the table really is this combination of having a hotel, the event space, the staff. Really, just once you have a game and you're like, we would love to have a tournament, you can just ask us through email, through DMs, and be like, hey, what do you think? Could we do something together? And
hopefully it's not show ring.
Nope.
All right, we're back.
There we're back. And yeah, for Trackmania especially, we decided to have this because, of course, a German LAN.
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a while. And I've been very excited in order to do this. We were able to get a lot of people together. Hamburg, of course, being a very central location,
Yes.
bringing especially internationals from to here. We got the airport, we got train, we got the Autobahn. Who doesn't know about the Autobahn?
True.
And for everyone who's joining and who's here and has like a day or two extra, they're able to visit this amazing city of Hamburg. You're not in the middle of nowhere. You don't have to stream in a warehouse. You got this amazing hotel, a lot of staff, very kind, and even surrounding the tournament, you got a lot of amazing things set up from the bar, from the gaming area. We got Actor Racer, a bunch of cool stuff to do.
Yeah, I mean, definitely from a gamer perspective, there's definitely a lot to do in Hamburg, especially, there's a lot of amenities, and then having Arcadia just adds icing to the cake for a place to call home for whoever's out here and wanting to, get in a bit of gaming on the side and everything. I guess the final question for you is going to be, so you've been doing this so far. What is your with the Trackmania community? Let me get my words straight here. But you've been doing this so far with the Trackmania community. You've been speaking with, hundreds of people. I feel like across the community. What kind of impression has the Trackmania community left on you so far during this event?
It's been amazing. The whole community. Every time there was like a question, someone asking for help, there was always like 5 people jumping on it, trying to help. It's very welcoming. It's very tight-knit as well. Like, even though you have a lot of international people, it still feels like a very warm and like family-like community in a way. Everyone knows each other. Everyone knows the same like funny memes. And it's like everyone talks the same language, even though they're from, here we have people from 16 nations.
That's insane.
It's insane. But when you see them downstairs, it's like it's one big nation, everyone here, and it's just...
Somebody may want to fact check me, but I do believe this is the most representation a Trackmania event has ever had in a LAN event, which is insane. And from our perspective, from my team and my org's perspective, it's been fantastic to have so many people so excited for this event. And this is just the beginning of it. And I want to thank you, Tim, for being able to stop by.
Thanks for helping us.
Yeah, thank you. And we're gonna take it over to the ad break. We're gonna have a little ad break here really quickly. But I want to mention once again that it has been a fantastic moment so far in my history as a esports guy ever since I've been doing it for about 8 years now, 10 years now, and to get to this point and be here is fantastic. But that is not the end of this excitement. We got plenty of matches coming up soon for the rest of the evening and for the rest of the weekend. So stay tuned. We are going to go on a short break, and we will be back soon.
Welcome back to Trackadia. My name is Boney, and I am here. Oh, you mute me? Oh, no. Can you hear me now? I do this every single time during stream. If you see my stream, you know exactly what this means. To reiterate what I was just saying, welcome back, everybody, to Trackadia. I am Boney, right here, live in Germany, and I am also excited to lead you guys into the second wave of qualifiers. This tournament itself obviously could not be possible without its sponsors. We've got the Arcadia Hotel, aiming to be and is the largest gaming house in Europe. We've got 28 Black. You can see the cans right in front of me. Some nice, great energy drinks. You can get them live here at the hotel, but you could also order them online. bit.ly/28Arcadia, all capital Arcadia. Just make sure you get that right. We've got Vibra Acoustics right here on screen, and alongside that, we've got OPL. Honestly, it's been great having them here and helping us out run this tournament for you guys. I think that is all for me right now. We just have Wave 1 happening. We have 32 players moving on to tomorrow. And right now, we're going to head over to Wave number 2, and that will be brought to you by none other than Turbo and Import. Take it away, guys.
Thank you so much, Boney, for that nice introduction here. We have heat number 3 and 4 that will come up now. We have seen Binks with a very good performance here in that first match. But yeah, what can we expect from those second matches? What do you think, Import?
Looking at the list right now, there's some interesting names. There's some more personalities, I would say, more than anything else. Chroma is one of those I see in the lobby right now. And Abedi as well is also a decent player. Merch Jr., honestly, I think may be the favorite here. Gio, actually from Evo, is also has been training really hard for this event, so it would be interesting to see him do well today. But honestly, I think it's for this group, specifically for this wave, for the qualifier, I think anybody could do really well here. So It's really up to the players and how well they've trained up to this point.
So I think the Frenchies that are in here, we have Shay in this match. We also have Feed, who's one for me, one of the clear favorites, and also Coco, who is on the server. I think that they will dominate the match. I've talked to them a little bit, to Coco. He seemed to be ready, and also the other Frenchies. They look very strong, so they probably can spring a surprise here and maybe even dominate that match. But we're going to find that out in a timely manner, and I think that we're going to see a nice match here. Top 16 will qualify. We have also another match that is ongoing parallel to that. That it was similar compared to the first and second heat that we've had. And yeah, we're going to start very soon.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how the first group was able to perform. We had Binks, who was doing honestly fantastic, just kind of separating himself very early on from the rest of the pack. We had Lumar, Deska, Stuffs. I would say some very talented players, but in the mid-range in terms of pro level. They're more like the mid-range in terms of almost pro, but they're not just there. They're almost there. They have the potential to be there, but they did really well. And it's interesting to see that there are some missing, I guess, players in terms of when we think of pro players. There's a lot of missing players like Spam. Spam is one I definitely think of. Scrappy is another one that I definitely think of. Maybe the
also
streamer
Afi
bros
and Pack, for example,
right.
They also didn't show up. I mean, for Carl Jr. it's a longer way, but I think the level still is very, very good here on this competition. I mean, probably for some players it's their first LAN experience. I've also seen that, for example, that the Arctic Gaming experience, it's something complete different to just play offline on an offline event compared to just play in your comfort zone at home. But the maps are cute, so we're going to start very soon. We have 5 maps again that will be played in 4 rounds each, and we play in rounds mode. So no cup mode this time. Cup mode will be played in the next stages.
Yep, and I mean, do you have any expectations as well? I mean, I know you asked me, but do you have any expectations of, well, who do you think might perform here? Feed? Feed for sure.
Feed, Tialic, Coco. And I think also that, someone like Mertz is doing really good, as well as Whoop. They have also really been just growing and improving a lot, especially the Danish community. There's also so many Danish people. I think 11 have made the way towards Hamburg. I mean, it's not that far from them, but still, it's just nice to see that they're all coming. I mean, we have over 15 nationalities representing here, so...
Which is
lot,
insane,
yeah.
and we're not talking just European nationalities. We're also talking players from America that have showed up as well. And as we go over here to the map, we are going to check out the first map here. I believe this is Itudski by featuring Ski Freak by Agent Whiskey, another Evo player. I have to mention that. I can't help it. It just for me, it's always cool to see how wide our grasp is in the community. But fantastic map. Honestly, it is challenging. But overall, I would say compared to the rest of the other maps, this is, I would say, more traditional mixed than some of the other maps that we have. And I think the other maps, they all have traditional mixed elements in there, but they also have some very tricky ones. I'm thinking of like Berserk's map, which is a very difficult map, probably, in my opinion, the most difficult map out of the pack with those crazy speed checks and whatnot. But as for this map, I think for this map, it is definitely a good starter point. To see who can be consistent in a map that everybody should be able to perform decently on. So,
yeah. I mean, on this map, we have one of those 2 ice parts, the ending. I mean, Geox that we're spectating right now is approaching the ending section. You have a plastic part and then a very unconventional turn where you have to go very far to the left in order to nail that risky ending, which is just another tilted ending. But yeah, now we're going to start. World record is a 48.920 from Feed. Yeah, that's what I checked yesterday. Maybe it has changed, and maybe also other players, for example, Binks, didn't have a single online PB. Maybe he has practiced offline and just hit his times. But we have, again, 1 minute of warm-up. So let's just go ahead and follow Coco here and just see what he's going to do here. We have Shay and Feed also there, and Bresso also.
And Bresso, yeah.
Yeah, also one of the German representatives. And yeah, let's just see what they're doing in the warm-up.
And Bresso has actually attended quite a few events this year, LAN events, and has done decently well. I believe he attended one of the Baltic tournaments, if I remember correctly. And he didn't do terribly in that event. I believe he did place top 8 for that event. And there were a lot of very skilled players for that event, such as Mime Forever and Deska. I do believe that was the top 3 for that event. And so I'm interested to see how he performs here, especially as the German native for this event. So I would love to see a lot of success for German players here. Something to be happy about as a result for this event. But it'll be interesting. I am looking forward to it. We are going to have one more.
Yeah, there's one more warm-up. I think there might be some technical difficulties. Maybe every player didn't join the server just yet. Let's go with Frechtags here in this round. Also one of the German players playing for Bavaria too. You can see it also in the car skin. I talked to the manager beforehand. He is ready to see him perform. And yeah, you see how many players here on the server. Let's actually take a look. We have 23 players, and from those 23 players, 16 will make it into the next round.
Honestly, if I were in this group, I'd kind of be happy that it was that few players I'd have to go against, because that means I have a large opportunity to go forward in the tournament, and especially with it being double elimination, that doesn't mean that if you lose the first round tomorrow that you're going to be out. You still have at least one more chance to get through. And so I would be putting a lot of effort in for today to be able to make it tomorrow and be able to play tomorrow.
Yeah, but top 64 should definitely be doable. I mean, I think there's a bit more than 80, 90, maybe up to 100 players that are in the mix right now. So it should be doable. And as you said, double elimination bracket means that if you're in the lower bracket, you at least play one more match, also against players who have already lost the match. All right, but we are starting now. First round. We have 4 rounds here on this map from Ski Freak and Whiskey. So let's go ahead and check out who can we spectate. Let's go with Whoop here, who gives us a good overview here. You see he is right now in that top 15 position, so a little bit further behind. Coco right now is leading the race.
Yeah, we see Feed and Coco kind of trading blows right now at the moment, leading the pack. Grenadi is also in this group too. I just now realized that. Probably should have mentioned that a lot earlier. But he is also in this group, so he is definitely another player that we cannot ignore. He is a TMGL player. He does play in the Grand League. So this is something for him that would be very good and important for him to win, especially as to contend and defend his reputation as a top-tier player in this game. We do see that Feed and Grenadi and Shine are going to lead our top 3 here for the first round on the map. But honestly, the results in the first couple rounds, while important, they don't tell the whole story. Usually it's about who can, one, grasp the map the quickest at the beginning, and then afterwards improve on what they've already built upon that foundation. So
exactly, just get comfortable in that atmosphere here to play. Also Granadi, little fun fact about that, because my guy actually forgot his paddle. He's playing with a wheel. He forgot it at home, and now he has to play with a different paddle. He uses from Elgato. There are those stream pedals, or like pedals that he can use. He's using that for, I think, gas and also braking. So he's playing on a way different setup right now, but he's doing great. Did a good time. I think it was a 0.4, so that's 0.5 behind the world record. We see Feed and Shay now dominating this round. Granadi's behind, so we could maybe go ahead and spectate him here and see what he's doing. The real driver from Germany also plays the TMG. I go so close there to the wall. Shay also with a good line here, but Feed is crashing. Granadi maybe can snap that ending if he makes it, but Shay with a good jump. Granadi a bit more to the right, and he will survive. Shay barely surviving the ending. Granadi on second, Coco on third. Then we have Bresso behind, Mertz, and then we have Anibeti, Nitrosa, and Ice Crush.
Yeah, if I'm Bresso and Mertz right here, I mean, while it would be nice to be up in the front, I think big key here is just being consistent in where you are. And if that's 4th and 5th, I mean, this is just a qualifier. And for players who are of a higher skill, they don't want to put too much, when I say too much effort, they don't want to put too much of all their energy into tiring themselves out and burning themselves out early in this competition for this weekend. And so, I mean, it's important for more than anything else to be consistent. Chroma, I would like to see potentially rise up and also make that top 16. He is hovering around 13th place at the moment. But this round, he's actually doing pretty well, sitting in 5th with Johan and Bresso right in front of him. Does a really good line there. It's really neck and neck at this point, but he clips that corner in the tech section, and now he's going to lose a lot of places, but everybody else is struggling too at this point.
This transition is so hard to nail. I played this map and dude, it's so hard to do. But Chroma actually recovers quite nicely, gets himself in a 12th position. He was in top 5 though. He could have gotten himself some good chunk of points. Also, of course, the seeding then matters. If you first, you will not play against, I think, the top 4 players or something like that. So you get rewarded for that. But we see Shay dominating here. As I said, the Frenchies are not doing too bad. Shay with 70 out of 75 possible points. And then we have Granadi 25 points behind. So great performance from Shay already here. And let's go ahead and see who we can spectate. We can spectate Bestman, who's also attending a lot of Trackmania events. He was also in Norway and has watched the Arctic Gaming Experience. So he has done a lot of traveling this year, also going to the Trackmania World Cup. And now he's playing himself. So good to see him playing in this competition right now in a conservative 15th position, 2 seconds behind Coco.
Yeah, I think he, just watching from the tech sections that he just undertook, he does seem to be hesitating and not fully trusting himself when it comes to these. You'll notice, and that section he actually did it fairly well. Oh, and unfortunately he does balk on the right side there. But in that very first tech section, he slid multiple times. He did multiple drifts, which usually is not something that you want to do. But he does a stylish finish at the end, so therefore he is better than everybody else here at this point. And how will anybody live up to such a man like that? He is the best man, literally.
Yeah, he's the best man on the server by finishing like that. He would have won if the map was in stunt mode.
True.
But we're gonna move to the next map. It is map number 2. We have 4 more maps, including this one. So let's take a look what we have here. There you go. They have the map preview. It is Switcheroo by Funai. Yeah, that's the map that will be played next.
So I have been playing a little bit of Switcheroo today, and honestly, an interesting map. There are, I would say, some heavier grass sections than the other maps involved. I could be wrong, because, I mean, I've done my best to do my homework, I promise, folks. But in regards to this map has some very tricky grass sections.
Yes.
But as far as the dirt sections, they are very solid, and I think it is important to have a knowledge of not just grass but dirt in this, because the dirt sections, if you do not know how to take them correctly, not having the proper gears is going to be a big struggle for you. But that tight section there, that corridor, that tunnel, however you want to call it, with the falling into the second reactor tunnel is also very important, because that's a place where we're potentially going to see people mess up, as well as this sidewall. This is a blind sidewall if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, especially the drift afterwards.
Right, and you're in the forced cam perspective, cam 1, and just going on that sidewall, trying to guesstimate that corner, that little edge there in the bottom left, is always difficult. So we'll see how people manage to handle that.
Yeah, let's see how Bresso's actually handling that first round. I think this map is very weird because it has so many like unconventional transitions. Just think about the reactor boost in the middle of the map. Think about that start where you don't go outside and set yourself up very nicely here for that turn. But this transition, so many things can go wrong. You can drop the gear here as well. You have to minimize airtime, and then in this left-hander, you don't want to gear up into 5th gear. Very important to do that. But Bresso right now on a very good run. Coco's leading, Shay's behind, but Coco going very wide there. But he's still in the mix. Great fight between the players, but Bresso is right now only in 10th position. Needs more than that, but what a fight here in the top. Let's see. Oh, it's Feet making a mistake. Chroma is still in the mix. We have Coco and Granadi there as well. Let's go with Shay for the fight here at the end.
Yeah, everybody took that wall very high, trying to be safe and not mess up and take it too tight here. This dirt section also is very tricky, as you have to be, it is a Carlberg dirt turn, essentially, where you have to be on the outside, and you have to be very risky with it in order to get the speed. Coco and Granadi and Chroma finishing top 3. That's really good for Chroma. That means he's been tickling that border of the 16, that border where he needs to be able to stay above. But this will be some really good points for him, and that's going to shoot him up the ladder. I'm pretty positive. Yeah, there we go. He's going to go up a couple places there. And focusing on Shainimi here, has been doing extremely well. But Grenady has caught up. I think he's getting used to that pedal that we were talking about earlier. But Shainimi, really impressive job.
Yeah, great start. Great start from him. Let's go a little bit. Let's go with Mertz here in this round again. And yeah, the world record on this map is a 56.648. And we have seen times that were about in the low 57 range. Right now, Mertz doing a great job overtaking a lot of people there with that very aggressive inside line. Now going over that reactor boost turn. We see one player making a mistake. Into the drift we go. And Coco also with the best amount of speed. Mertz had to release. Bresse overtakes him. And it seems like that we have seen a lot of players making mistakes. Mertz still on 7th position, even though he's 1 second behind. But it seems like Shay will win this round and will just secure himself.
He hits the outside.
This is the turn. Look how much he drops from P7 to P60.
That was very unfortunate. It's clear that he didn't see the barrier there. He thought he had a clean line, but that was not the case. Shainimi, though, still doing really well, grabbing another first place. And like you were mentioning, the French players, they are doing pretty well for themselves. And you can never count out, when you see French players in your lobby, you can never count them out because they are, I consider them tryhards. And they really are. They do it extremely well in events because, I mean, it's their home game, right? So it's made by fellow French brothers, and they have to perform well. It's a pride thing. But here, this event and this tournament is in Germany, and so we are looking for our German friends to perform really well here at Trackadia. Grenady and Feed doing really well for themselves. In the top with Shainimi again, doing really well. Fighting in the top 3, looking at Feed right here, going to this drop down, the important dirt section, getting that outside, getting as close as you can to that barrier will get you a lot more speed on the exit. As we see, Feed had a fantastic outside dirt turn, and that gave him the exit speed to overtake Shainimi at the very end there.
56.9. That's 0.3 behind the world record. Good time here from Feed, but also nice comeback there at the end. Sniping Shay by 300ths of a second. Coco on 3rd, so that's a top 3. You were talking about it for the Frenchmen. So top 3 for them, and also Shay and Coco are now top 1 and 2. We have Grenady on 3rd. Then there is Feed. Oh no, and Betty actually overtook Grenady here after that round. Feed on 5th, Bresse on 6th, Ice Crusher, Nautrosa, Cialic, Chroma, Johan. Then we have Experial. Who else is here? Whoop, Mertz, Golden Nuggets. Then we have
Gio's in here. I totally forgot.
Yeah, let's go with him because right now he's the last player who would be in. He's on the 16th position.
This is the curse of Gio, and as he is in my team, the curse of Gio is that Gio is a very fast player, but Gio tends to get too fast, I guess would be the best way to say it, and he will make mistakes. And I'm hoping that he doesn't do that today, so I'm hoping he gets some really consistent position. I mean, finishing at least top 10 would be a better result than trying to go too hard. He does make that mistake at the end. Going too fast, like I say. He can do really well, and he can hold up for himself, but it's a consistency thing with him, and unfortunately that did bite him a little bit for that round. But I believe in you, Gio. You got this.
Yeah, 13th place for him. I mean, you can see the point repartition right now. 25 points for 1st, and then you see half of the points almost for 7th place. We have 12 points, so it's really important that you get eventually in those top 5 positions to get yourself just a lot of points, because at the end, that's what you want to... Like, you want to progress, and if you always get like 13th, maybe like 5 points or something like that, you will not get far with that. And maybe this map has something to offer. It also has a different story because that was the first map that was a Cup of the Day map out of a competition.
Right. And I mean, this map, having played it, it is not an easy map by any means, especially those first couple tech sections, very tight, a lot of places to mess yourself up, especially with the pillars, the gaps, the holes in the ground, and then that grass slide into a tech slide is not easy if you're not expecting it. And even this section here with the downhill into the uphill, if you get too much of that plastic, you're going to have a terrible time. So a lot of tight, precise turns for this map, and you have to really be have a presence of mind while driving through this map in order to get a good result here.
So the most important line, or the hardest line on this map, you have like one third turn and you can go outside of the pillar, or like in between pillar and just the barrier of the map. That is a super hard line. But I want to mention, I looked onto the campaign and I've seen a player that we all know, Dexter,
Yes.
in the top 5. He has 40,000 points and he has world record on this map. Unfortunately, Dexter has not shown up for this event, but he could have definitely been a player who could have gone far here.
For sure.
I mean, there is 2,300 euros on the line for the mixed competition and 200 euros for the tech competition. And yeah, times that we can look out for is a 102.12 is the world record. So I think we're gonna see 102.5s, 103, something like that.
Yeah, and getting into the first round here, we see that Shainimi, Johan, I see Chroma, and Kakao Grenadi really leading the top 5 with Bresso in the mix as well. Netrosa is actually a decent mixed player and a player from Gravity, and I would honestly expect them to do fairly well in this event, but they seem, I mean, they're doing an they're in 8th place, so they're not doing too bad, but I almost would expect them to perform just slightly better, but overall still doing a good place in 8th. Maybe that was a bit critical on my end, but I mean, on the flip side, I can't talk today, but I will have to make a round of apologies at some point at the end of this tournament, like talking about Grenadi and Casti cursing him about how he was feeling comfortable with that pedal, and then he started struggling the several rounds afterwards.
It's normal like that, isn't it?
It happens all the time, no matter what. Ice Crusher said I should not caster curse. That's another word. I'm caster cursing myself more than anything else, so I don't think anybody has really anything to be worried from me. But Ice Crusher, he was telling me, he was like, please don't caster curse me. And I was like, well, I mean, I can't help that.
This will eventually happen.
Yes.
I mean, it's always like that. You know, when the moment you spectate someone, the misery just happens. You just feel responsible for that. Sometimes it do be like that. Whoop has made a mistake. We see Experial right now on a quite conservative start. Actually, that small patch there to the right is actually penalty surface that you can touch to initiate the turn a bit better, to go into an auto drift and then tap the brake, and then you get a great angle for the upcoming turn. Experial had to release, else he would have touched the wall, so we lose a lot of speed.
That hole too.
Yeah, that's a rough speed check, and Experial falls down. A lot of positions now, P16 for him.
Yeah, Experial is struggling a little bit and kind of looking a little bit forward over to Feed. Feed is fighting up in the upper mid pack. Still in 4th place overall, but makes a mistake as we go over to him. I'm so sorry, Feed. Go to somebody else quickly. Kakao, there we go.
Hey.
We didn't curse him. He's finishing it first. Gets a wonderful 25 points for himself. Shainimi getting 2nd and Grenadi 3rd. Looking at our overall standings right now, we do have Shainimi in 1st with 175 points. Kakao 167 and Grenadi with 149. And looking at the overall standings right now, let's look at Bresso over here. Bresso still doing fairly well, sitting in 6th right now overall. But Bresso, I think more than anything else, probably his overall standing for himself is a little bit deceiving because he has been constantly in the front every round, and I think it's just small mistakes that he's been making. Looking at this round though, we do see that Shainimi, Kakao, and Grenadi leading the front pack. Chroma right behind.
Look at the line. Shades line outside.
But he went for it. I respect it. Hey, we'll take it. Multiple players falling out. I think the individual that bonked out afterwards was just out of respect for the individual who went for the outside line. That was probably Chroma or something like that. The interesting. I do want to talk about Chroma really quickly. You see Chroma, he does stick with the front pack for the most part, but Chroma is also one of those players who loves to risk everything.
Yeah.
Which means he is a feast or famine type of driver, and that is not necessarily the thing that you want in Trackmania, because Trackmania is really all about consistency more than anything else. With the round ending there with Grenadi, Feed, and Chroma. So Chroma, he's got the feast this round.
Yes.
Let's hope he continues that feast, but he might get the famine next round. We'll see.
but also not the strongest round. 102.6, that's 0.5 away from the world record. Then we have a 0.7, and then a huge gap of 0.6 of a second here from Chroma. So he really capitalizes from maybe Shay making that additional mistake,
Right.
maybe from some other players making another mistake. And we've also seen Bresso dropping a bit further behind there with that one wall touch in the dirt section. Now we see Piranha also with a mistake there. I was seeing that one from miles away. Bresso now with a great turn here, very important to hold your fourth gear. Granadi had to release, I think, a little bit, but Bresso's still leading. Good round from him, but now he goes a bit wider. Feed Shay and Chroma will overtake him. Coco with a very, very conservative line there, going super far inside. No one goes for that outside line, and it's right now a great fight for that third position. Shay and Feed are leading. Feed going so close there to the wall. Good line here. Look at that.
Oh, no!
Bonk! Into the tree he goes, and he's out on that round. Annie Betty, however, is not out on it. He's on P number 11, a little bit further behind. 1 second behind Shay, who's leading the race, and I think he's also with the time.
Yeah, I mean, that was so unfortunate for who was that again? Who bonked out with speed, right? I think it was. Yeah, that was so unfortunate for him. I think that was the first tree bonk we saw today. Yeah, I mean, unfortunate for him, but we see Shaynimi, Coco, and Granadi finishing out the top 3. Golden Nugget, haven't seen him too much in the top 8, so getting a 4th place for himself, that should help him a little bit stay safer in that top 16. And I believe that was the end of this map for Oxygen by Kaisla.
Yes.
Kaisla. I pronounce it Kaisla.
Yeah. I say Kiesler, actually.
Well, I pronounce it the German way, so.
The German way.
The German way.
The important guy is pronouncing it the German way.
know.
There you go. So, guys, top 16 will go through. Of course, we're going to focus a little bit more on towards who's going to actually make it into the top 16 because it's still a close fight. You see 16th and 17th are 8 points apart, and that means that it's only one good round for you to climb up the ladder.
Yeah, and I mean, I think as we go into the overview here for Interdiction by Ozai, I mean, definitely another map. So this map I am probably the least learned on, I guess you could say. But overall, just another mixed map. I think it's a perfect addition to this because it adds another traditional mix map into this. It does have some very tech-heavy parts, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely some very tricky tech turns that you have to pay attention to. Also, the plastic parts as well. Knowing how to drive plastic, not a lot of players, you would be surprised, know how to drive plastic. They don't necessarily understand it. And I mean, the best way to explain it is the less you're turning, the faster you are. And it's important to have that entry, because if you're trying to minimize your turning as much as possible, then it's extremely important that you have the entry line better than you have your exit line. I mean, the exit line is important too, but entry line is what will save you for the majority of this run. And this very nice, beautiful Carlberg dirt section. It's so nice.
I mean, you have like 2 Carlberg dirt turns here, but in one you actually drop into gear 3, so it doesn't really matter that you go full outside.
Right.
Firstly, when I discovered this map, I thought, yeah, maybe you can hold it, but you cannot. And yeah, this map for me is a prime example of just a multi-stand map. There's a lot of parts, you mentioning the steering movement, and of course also the transition point when you go from a slippery surface to tarmac, that you just reduce your steering angle to go into a no-slide, because if you slide on tarmac, you will slow down a little bit more when you just go into a no-slide. Here also very important to hold that 4th gear. Chroma's doing that pretty nicely. Now you go up into this uphill dirt section where you're going to drop into 3rd gear, and then you're going to go down here again. And right now Chroma's on a really good run.
Yeah, doing really well. And Chroma's not a mixed player at all by any means. He is definitely a full speed player through and through, but he's not doing terrible here. He's approaching those tech sections really well, also doing really well with the plastic. I mean, there is plastic full speed, so he does know how to no slide in a lot of sections there. Dirt, on the other hand, I'm not satisfied with that dirt turn at all. Chroma, you should be ashamed for yourself, but I appreciate the fact that you got a 4th place regardless.
He gained 1 position because Shay has made a mistake. Coco now with a 103.18. The world record here on this map is a 102.86, and it's also the longest track here in this map pack. So let's take a look. Who is on that 1st position? We see it here on the top right, actually. It's Shay leading with 10 points over Coco. So very close also for that 2nd place. You see Granadi with 236 points. Let's actually go around with Granadi here and check how he does the real player, the TMGL driver Definitely one of the favorites to go far in this match, but the whole top 4 in this match looks very promising. Also the times, I mean, they were 0.3, 0.4 away from the world record. The level is high, and I think they haven't really shown us what they have in their sleeves.
For sure. I mean, the top 4 right now are definitely individuals that we expect to go far in this tournament. How far is yet to be seen.
Exactly.
But, I mean, like you said, Grenady is expected to go extremely far. I would be very shocked if he did not make, at minimum, top 8 for this event. I would be very surprised. But other individuals, for example, Feed, personally for me, I've never actually really known Feed that well. Sorry. But it is fantastic to see other individuals. For me as a person, as also a spectator for Trackmania, to see more faces than just the typical TMGL faces. It gives the spotlight for an event like this to be able to see other faces and see how they perform against some of the actual pros that are here with us today. So it's very fun. I'm excited about it. Looking at the bottom of the standings here with Gio, he is sitting on 16th. And he is contending with Zango at the moment. I think those are the two that are going to be fighting for that very last spot. But for Gio and Zango, it really is about who can get a higher place. Because if they get one chance higher place, that's going to take them past the other opponents. But looking at Piranha here, this is the struggle bus if I've ever seen it, unfortunately.
Piranha is usually a very, very good player. I mean, I'm not sure what he's doing.
I think he's just practicing the turn
but
at this point.
I mean, he is struggling a bit. So let's go ahead and spectate maybe some player that we haven't spectated so far. It's Tjalic. And also to speak about Feed, he was actually called Pack Jr. When he played Gamers Assembly.
Gotcha.
There was this infamous moment where like all players made a mistake in 2021 and he eventually got through. Ratchet was standing on his back, someone else failed the ending, and it was a carnage. And he is originating from the tech scene, but has also shown a very promising result in a lot of multi-style competitions. As you can see here, 103.11 Feed wins it ahead of Shay and then Coco, so another top 3 for the Frenchman. Then Grenady and Bresser are behind, as well as Golden Nugget, so good performance from him as well. Johan, also one of the first times that I'm seeing him in the top 8, and then we have Tjalic on 8th position.
Yeah, Tjalic, we actually not cursing him, but giving him a caster boon just by spectating him. He gets what I believe might have been his one of his first or very few top 8s, but I mean, good for him. And now he might have the potential to be leading in this front pack here. But I mean, Shenimi, Feed, Kakao, and Grenady, extremely talented players and tough players to overcome. And I was explaining this, I believe, in an interview earlier today, where Trackmania is really about finding the limit of the map. There is a set official time. For each map, and it really is about each player finding that limit. And typically when you're a better player, a pro player, you're able to find that limit a lot more quickly than others. And when you're maybe a newer player or a mid-tier player, it takes you more time that you have to invest in order to find that limit. So when we see people like Kakao, Feed, Shenimi, and Grenady, they are players who are able to find that limit a lot quicker because they have the memorization of tracks, and they have the reaction speed to react to elements as they come to them.
Yeah, and they can also just predict what will happen in the turn, how to approach it. They have done this turn. They have done this turn like millions of times already, and other players maybe have done it only like maybe 10,000 times, and they still have to practice a little bit more, so they can be way much faster, quicker. So that's just the summary of that. All right, but let's go to the next map. I think it's the last map already.
It should be the last map. There should be banners.
And there we have the map overview as well. So there you go. We have banners by Berserk and Rioter.
This is arguably the most difficult map in my opinion. The speed checks, the ending especially, the ice bobsleigh turn. There's a lot of sections that require precision, require you to be able to have the speed and not make any minute mistake, and you're going to get punished. Especially these first couple sections, this turn into this speed check here.
Yes.
And then not only that, but there's a following speed check, I believe, after this dirt turn. Yes. Where you not only have to keep your speed. Oh, no, maybe it's not this one.
You mean this turn here, where you just tailor yourself through the triangle, have to hit the booster, and just go very far to the right, because you have to get yourself a lot of speed and also a good approach into the bobsleigh. So that's what Tialage is trying to do. I think we're gonna see a lot of mistakes in those parts that you have just mentioned. Sure. Because for me, this start is like a leap of faith. You have to commit to the drift, because the speed check is so hard. If you're gonna release and you have to respawn, you are kind of in the mud and you are dead. So you maybe not be able to finish the run. Also the ending here, if you drop 5th gear, you cannot make it into the risky ending. Tialage is barely making it there. That was also a good example for that. But we have 4 more rounds, and the warm has come to an end.
Yeah, we will see how individuals are going to be handling the end finish, that risky finish. And I mean, at this point, you really do want to go for that risky finish. Kakao, though, saying that he did not want to finish that transition there correctly, so he is going to be out for this round. Feed and Grenady leading the pack with Shinimi. Of course, it is the trio. It was the what is it? A quintet? Yeah, the quadruple.
Or quartet.
Quartet. Yes, that is the word we're looking for. Yeah, it's normally the quartet, but the quartet became a triplet.
Or just one person.
Or one person now. Grenady now just taking his Sunday drive to the finish. Shinimi following not too far behind. He might be able to catch up to him depending on how he handles these next couple elements here. But we do come to the pivotal end. But players like these, they're not going to have that much trouble with a finish like this. It's going to be those who are not accustomed to having that plastic driving like I was talking about earlier, who aren't going to have that angle. And so we already see people opting for the safe finish already. And we may be seeing more of that in the next coming 3 rounds.
Yeah, this map is really hard to do, especially the ending with the gear, and you should just opt for the safe ending, as you said there. But also the start, I mean, you can see that drift here, which I just called the leap of faith. There was also a TMGL identity named after that, but also you have to go so high in order to minimize airtime and not hit both of those poles, and then hold that gear here on this turn. So Coco is doing it very nicely, goes into the lead. Shay also with a good line, but now the decisive part, the set up to the bobsleigh. Shay is looking great. Coco as well, really aggressive line. Has to oversteer, doesn't hit the bobsleigh. He's still in the mix and he's on a great time. He's leading by 0.3 of a second. Also goes for the side ramp. Shay will lose a little bit of time due to that. You can see it in the checkpoint. It's exactly 0.3 of a second. Coco on a great time, goes for the grip on the inside and makes a mistake. And Shay is leading with that. And he's also on a good run, but consider that. He was leading. Coco was leading by 0.3 of a second. And Shay so close to the wall. And he will clock in a 51.6. Good time here.
Oh, and Tialage getting a second. That's really good for Tialage there. I think at this point, we're really just focusing on the last maybe 1 or 2 spots for the top 16, because I think all the other standings are pretty much set in stone. We do only have 2 rounds left. We have Geo and Whoop in the bottom 2 for this qualifier. Zango still looking in, but a 20-point difference is a monumental task. And really, we're looking at Zango here as we go over to him. He has to be able to put out his best right now. Otherwise, his journey at Trackadia is going to end right now. So, 2 rounds to go. Zango, are you going to be able to do it as you take that turn really wide? Hopefully, he is going to be able to recover from that. Maybe some other individuals will gift him some places back. We are at the very critical ice bobsleigh turn. He does that fairly well. Grenady leading at the front at the moment, very far ahead. Zango is still in the race, but Geo, I see, very far up ahead of him. If Geo continues to race like this, if Whoop continues to race like that, they should be perfectly safe. And Zango is going to opt for the safety finish here. Geo gets 5th place, though. That's perfect for him. I think at this point, Geo is definitely safe. And honestly, I do think that it is probably at this point safe to say that we do have our top 16 at this moment. Just looking at the standings to update. I mean, there is one chance, but it requires Zango to have a godlike performance out of nowhere, and for the others to fail on his behalf. Maybe they do want to give him a gift today. You know, some people are in a giving nature, but I don't know. With pro players, usually they want to take it all for themselves. And I think that's what's going to be happening here. As we go back to the front of the pack, we are going to focus on Grenady and Shinimi as we see them up ahead. Johan sticking with the group as well. Chroma not too far behind. I did see Feed. He did make a mistake in the bobsleigh section, so he is going to be out of this round, but it doesn't matter because he's made it through the qualification phase. We do see Kakao Chalic, Grenade, Shinimi in the front, though. They are going neck and neck. It will be very close to see who is going to take the last bit of dignity from the other. And as we see, a very tight 1,000th between Shinimi and Grenade, and Shinimi takes it a hair's width of a victory over Grenade. So Shinimi wins the moral victory for this match. As we see, Shinimi, he is going to be the winner of the match overall, the qualification, with the 372 points. And Grenade is going to be second with 366, Kakao 318. But overall, very fun race, very fun competition and match that we have seen. And yeah, I mean, so far, what we've seen, very fantastic results, very fantastic performances from the top end of the spectrum, and even some surprising performances from those from maybe that we wouldn't expect to perform at a competition like this. But that's the difference between a LAN and an online event. At a LAN, it's always different. The atmosphere is different. Having that all the people to feed off from, that energy that you feed off from, it's interesting, and it's definitely something you have to experience for yourself.
I mean, I mentioned that I think that Shay is going to do good, but he had 397 out of 500 possible points. Great performance here from the Frenchman. Deserved victory. Then we had also Granadi with a very good performance, also playing on a different setup now with his wheel and different pedals. Good performance. So I think we're ready for day 2, I think. I mean, we have seen times that are just 0.3 away from the world record, and I think players will push it even more tomorrow. And yeah, that's it for today for the matches.
Yeah, that is going to be it for today. We are going to come back tomorrow. I believe the stream starts at 12 o'clock, 20 minutes before. We'll have a countdown, and we are going to be back at 12 o'clock. I will be your host yet again at that point, and we will see you then. If you didn't catch any of the stuff today, I'm sure there will be some VOD that you can watch at Arcadia Live on Twitch, or potentially at their YouTube as well, that we will keep you updated on our Discord.
Yeah, there will be still an interview coming up, and then it will be the end. So you mean that it's the end for the matches.
Sorry.
And yeah, there will be a short break, and then we're going to see you over there.
Perfect. Oopsies.
Hello, is it on? Testing one. Yeah, it's on. I know it's on. Welcome everyone back to Arcadia. We're just gonna close things out for today. We had our qualifiers happening, and I mean, I enjoyed the matches myself. 64 players move on to tomorrow. I think some expected names are in there. So far, no real upsets. And how do you guys feel about today's turnout? And just maybe 2 words. Give me 2 words. Or 3. I'll give you 3.
I'm hyped for tomorrow. I mean, I don't want to just say 3 words. I'm hyped. I mean, tomorrow will be played in a double elimination bracket, so I think the level will be even higher because players will play in like in cup mode against each other. We have seen rounds mode, which is quite similar, of course, to cup mode, but I think players will push it even further tomorrow.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's to be expected, right? We've got 4 players in, a lot more focus on the players itself. A lot of matches happening at the same time as well. So I'm excited as well. How do you feel, Geek?
I'm feeling pretty excited as well because it's going to be a very different philosophy. As we kind of pointed out, it's a very different thing to go into a rounds match than going into a cup mode match. Cup mode, there's also a little bit of the question of finalist status. Like it brings in it throws a bit of a curveball for those that are more used to like get a certain amount of points and that's it. Here you have to win in order to secure your position. So it's going to be a bit more of a different mental challenge for the players that actually made it through, and I'm really interested to see how that pans out in the long term.
And I mean, going off of that, I mean, it's a format that benefits players who already are accustomed to said format. I mean, this format is not new by any means in terms of the Trackmania community. It's a format that's used in a lot of competitions. So individuals who have played in competitions that have this format with the finalist mode and everything, they're going to excel really well. I expect them to. And I think that they're not going to have too many issues. It's really only going to come to when the best of the best have to go against each other. And that's when it's going to get really interesting, I think.
But the thing is, even with cup mode, even with like the pre-established like order that we might have been picking up from some of the players in some of the rounds that have been played, we're not that safe from upsets. We've seen upsets happen in cup mode before in various competitions, and I feel like we could still see quite a few upsets to this weekend. So, to be fair, only the future will tell.
But I think as well that we're going to see upsets because we have that mental challenge now that you've mentioned. If you maybe make a mistake and see someone maybe scoring, celebrating a little bit and saying, yes, I won this round. We have seen that at the Arctic Gaming experience, for example. If it's your first LAN experience and you just see the mental challenge that someone has won the round, someone has denied you in finals mode or has gotten themselves finals mode and has maybe even secured themselves the first spot, this will put a lot of pressure on you. It's something completely different, playing in the comfort zone and playing just on a LAN event, which is maybe not your best setup. Maybe it's a little bit different from your controls. Maybe it's not the right monitor. There's a lot of factors that go into play, and I think we're also going to see some upsets tomorrow. Of course, we still have Saturday and Sunday, so players can rest now. It's top 64 that goes through, and the final or the real deal will start on Sunday, where the prize money will be distributed.
Exactly, Championship Sunday. And I think Saturday as well, mentioning that psychological aspect, there's going to be a lot of matches tomorrow. If you end up going to the losers bracket early, you're going to have a busy day if you end up winning those matches over and over. And not only do you have to deal with that mental level of, am I good enough? Am I not good enough? Am I feeling in my right space? When you're dealing with these unknown elements at the same time first. There's a lot of things that could stack up. But at the same time, that might also be the case for those names that we know that have come in during 2020 and may not be used to a LAN experience. And because of that, finding themselves in the wrong headspace and causing an upset, possibly. I'm very curious to see because it does require quite some stamina to push throughout a weekend like this.
I mean, going off of the individuals who may have to go through the losers bracket, for me personally, I would love to see that because that's a great way to build a storyline, right? True. Having to start from the all the way at the bottom, and now you're here to the top, going through it, living your protagonist fantasy, right? Ooh. I mean, I think that would be a blast. I don't know what the bracket looks like right now. I haven't been able to see it yet from our perspective, but I believe it's already out on OPL. I think it's all updated and everything that you can definitely check out. But I'm interested to see if we do get a situation where we have some strong players having to be matched up with each other in the early rounds and then forcing some of those better players to have to play through the losers bracket. I think that would be a fantastic show for everyone to watch. I think that would be fantastic matches to see for all the viewers and everything. So
There you go.
Yeah,
think-
we're definitely gonna focus on those matches tomorrow. We're gonna pick the matches that are interesting,
Oh, yeah.
and of course, maybe there will be very early on a match where just the best will face against each other, and one has to drop down into the loser bracket. So that's what you're gonna see tomorrow, starting at 12. So a little bit earlier than today, and I think that's it from us today, right?
I believe so as well. I want to thank everyone for coming in and watching. A bit of a late start, but we had some great qualification matches to kick this Trackmania tournament off for you all. We'll be returning with Trackadia tomorrow at noon, as mentioned. Hope to see you all then, and until then, stay safe.
Good luck at Cup of the Day.
Yeah, few minutes. Go, go, go. Qualify.